Hello, welcome back. My name is Devraj. Welcome back to Bioenergetics. Today I want to answer a question that I get asked a lot, particularly by men. They often message me or want to do sessions working with releasing emotional pain. A lot of guys tell me they haven't cried for like 10, 20 years. They haven't let it out. And they can feel there's pain inside. They know it's near the surface, but somewhere it just stays in and it can't quite be released. It can't quite come out. They somehow can't quite let themselves cry. There seems to be something in the way, something blocking. And so, yeah, I mean, in my own journey, you know, when I started to do workshops about 20 years ago, right in the early 2000s, I hadn't cried for like at least a decade, you know, at least a decade. And it took me about 5 quite intense weekend workshops, and we've been screaming in the group room for like, I don't know, a long time it seemed like. And then at the end of that, I suddenly just burst into tears. Like somewhere my ability to hold it back had been just taken away, like someone had lifted the kind of, opened up the dam, and it had just, wow, just pouring out, and people were kind of giving me hugs and stroking me in. I didn't really know what was going on, but it did feel good. And this is what it's like, you know, and it's very frustrating. I know when you know you need to cry and you can't cry. It's frustrating because you want your heart to open and to let it out, but somehow it's just being held back, and some people go into beating themselves up. It's not so useful. I'm working with the body, so today we're going to look at a couple of techniques you can use to start to at least bring it closer. And it's important not to put too much pressure on yourself that you must cry. You know, generally, as we're not going to be doing this today, but generally, if you work with anger a lot, like really expressing anger full on in workshop situations, then crying becomes more natural. Sometimes we have to really release the anger until the crying can happen. And sometimes you get, you know, guys who are in the tough guy mode, they think they're angry, they are angry, but they're not really screaming angry, putting it out fully, because in the core of their psyche, they know if they do that, all the pain comes up as well. So that's just something I mention. If you're around a therapist who works with anger directly, like myself, or workshops, I run workshops here in the UK with anger, then you can also look at that, because that's also a very rapid route to get through to the pain. There's no, you know, guaranteed thing. We're working with the body, we're working with the emotions, with the psyche. It's not just a machine. You know, we can't push a button and make ourselves cry, but we can do some stuff. So let's look at a couple of techniques we can use. And essentially, there's nothing very kind of highbrow or complex about this. I'm just going to show you a couple of body positions from bioenergetics, which most people will find pretty damn painful, essentially. And then those of you who are used to contracting and holding in pain, you know, you have to breathe and feel, and you can also work with the sound ow. So do this in a space, you know, do these exercises in a space where you can make a bit of sound. The word ow, you know, it's a child word for pain, also an adult word for pain, and basically it's also used as a Hindu mantra in some schools in the East. It does open up the heart center and bring pain closer to the surface. So it's actually about, it might sound a little bit of a funny thing to say, make the sound ow. Do actually make the sound ow. Really practice with expressing. Ideally, to do these exercises, you want to do them in an environment where you can make sound, where you can really scream into it, you know, where you can really let go. But also, if you don't have that option, you can do a bit by using the sound ow and not going fully into screaming. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of classic positions from bioenergetics which usually induce pain over time, and I'm just going to show you them. Maybe we'll do a workout with them another time, but for now I'm just going to show you. The first essentially is called the crucifix, and you can either do it, if you're familiar with bioenergetics, as part of the bow position, but essentially your arms come out to the side and you keep them out. You can push your pelvis forwards if you want to, but you don't need to. You can also just pull your arms out. Take your arms out wide and then turn to the left and to the right to check that your arms are outstretched. They're not forwards, not back, not up, not down. You can do it facing a mirror if it's difficult to maintain that. And then really pull them out. And decide before you start for a length of time, put a ding track on or a piece of loud music that lasts a certain length of time, and resolve to continue whatever, to complete it. If you're not leaning your pelvis forwards in the bow position, then have a little bit of flex in the knees. And keep the arms stretched out. As soon as it starts to ache, you start to say the word ow. Ow. You can do it with your eyes closed if that helps, but you want to start to connect to this primal feeling of pain, of hurt. And we're using the physical experience of pain to open up the emotional gateway here. So I can just go, ow, ow, don't hurt me, ow, 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 it hurts, ow, ow, ow. And you just carry on like this. If there's other words inside, free associate. You must complete. It's good to start with a minimum of say 2 or 3 minutes, see how that goes. If you catch yourself, deliberately not expressing, that's almost certainly a payback game from childhood. Very often if your dad in particular, or perhaps your mum, was in some ways you perceived them as emotionally manipulative, what we learned was not to show them we were hurt. And then this carries on through life. And so, if you know you're in this category a bit, then, make sure you make sound and you really put it out, because you want to have a breakthrough. There's no good doing the exercise and holding on for like 10 minutes. You don't achieve anything. You want to go into the feelings if they're there and to try and open up that side of the emotional body. So we go, ow, 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 ow. Keep your arms fully stretched out. Don't let them slacken. It's like 2 kids are holding on to your arms, pulling you outwards, or there's a couple of ropes pulling you to the side. Stay with it. Okay, we're not going to do it like a workout now, but I'm just giving you an example. I'll do a workout with this exercise and the next one later. Okay, so I just drop this for now. So you get the basic idea. You go into the physical pain in a safe way, and you start to make the sound ow. Give it a try. Select a time level to start with, maybe 2 or 3 minutes is usually, gets you into the feeling, but it's not so extreme it kind of traumatizes you and you never want to do it again. Because ideally you can do this exercise a few times or start to build it up and really work on putting out sound. You can really take it to the edge where your mind is screaming no more and really start to scream and release. That will release a lot. That will release a lot. It will start to come. Opening up. It's also quite possible when you're in this pose that anger comes. And if you've got the space where you can really scream it out, but you must maintain the pose for as long as you've decided for. Don't kind of slacken off. No, you really keep the arms out and you endeavour to discharge the feeling that's rising through expression, not through control and holding. Okay, so that's the crucifix position. Feel free to give that a go. Make sure you use a timer. You can use like Insight Meditation Timer. It's a phone app or something similar where you get a ding after 3 or 4 minutes, whatever you're going to do. Make sure you complete. Do it in front of a mirror if you're worried that you're going to drop your arms a bit, and really keep them pulled out fully to the side, like you're being pulled by the wrists, basically. That's important. Okay, the second exercise, which generally brings up pain quite quickly, is called the chair. Let me just move this camera a little bit closer so you can see the points of this pose. And what you need to do is find a bare bit of wall, essentially. Here we have one. And you sit so that your knees are at a right angle. That means the upper part of your legs are basically horizontal to the floor. Your back is against the floor and your hands sit like a meditation posture. Your feet are firmly planted, heels on the ground, on the floor rather. And in this position, breathe and feel. Quite soon what will probably happen, you're not allowed to move up, like in TRE or something. We're doing it as a bioenergetic release pose to get into pain. And usually after 1 or 2 minutes, the muscles in the legs will start to ache a lot. And when it comes, you've got to put it out. So you start with maybe 1 or 2 minutes and you start to express. You use the word ow again and you really go into it, like, mine aren't quite hurting yet, but ow, 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 ow. What I'm noticing, because the pain isn't at a high level, the level of pain that's there is discharged through saying the word ow. I can feel like a flow of energy from the inside. It's more obvious to me when I've got my eyes closed. And this is what you want to look for. The point where you start to express and actually the sensation of pain delocalizes. Instead of feeling this intense pain around the shins or the thighs, it's like it becomes a vibration all over your body. Or it becomes simply an energetic experience without the emotional label attached to it. That's what you're looking for through the release. So it's getting a little bit more achy now. I can go, how, 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 how. Just explore it. I wasn't going into free association, but you can go into free association. Maybe you just feel childhood words coming up. You just put them out like, see me, Daddy, I want you to see me. I don't want you to cut off from me. It hurts. It hurts. Maybe there's anger coming, you want to go into the anger and scream and shout and put it out. It's all good. Just make sure in advance that you're in a space where you can do that without disturbing other people. Okay, so I'm going to leave the chair pose there. After you do the chair pose, it can be good just to hang forwards for 30 seconds and let your system rebalance a little bit. But basically, those are two postures which will easily induce some level of physical pain. And if you start to use the sound ow and really go into it, go into the feeling, then that will start to open up a gateway into emotional pain. Maybe you don't, maybe you haven't cried for 10 or 20 years. Maybe it's not that you suddenly break down and let it all out straight away, but you start to make practical, positive steps in the right direction. You start to open up. You start to open up this gateway here, which is actually held closed back between the shoulder blades. And through going into the physical pain and allowing instead of controlling, you also allow the emotions to start to flow more naturally. So these are great exercises to do daily if you know you've got issues with pain and you can't quite open up. Just stay with it. Don't beat yourself up if it doesn't really happen. Keep the posture for the time that you decided and really go for it. It's probably good with the crucifix to start with 2 or 3 minutes. And if that's too easy, extend it up to 4 or 5. You can go to 10, 15 minutes if you really want to go for it. But don't start with too high a level until you've explored it in your own body. And with the chair, to start with 1 or 1.5 minutes and work that up. Remember, stay down in the pose. Don't allow your back to come up or down. Breathe and feel. Okay. So good luck with starting to express and release emotional pain. It will help you to open your heart. It will make you it'll make you better in relationships, basically, particularly love relationships, that you can accept and express your pain and you got access to that side of you. It enables other people to feel you. It's very important. Okay, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Keep doing the bioenergetics. You know it's good for you. See you again soon. Feel free to like and subscribe, and bye for now.